He stole my swords, the Kiba blades, and ran off. I charged the kitties to kill him, Amayuri says, coming from Naruto's shadow in a chibi form, and resting on Naruto's head. Will you keep the swords? Karen asks, a question that has been lingering in her mind. Depends. We'd have to head back to Kirigakure or Amayuri can keep them, Naruto replies. The journey falls into silence, but about 2 hours later, the heavy scent of blood catches their nose. Arise, Naruto says. Bring out one of his tigers. It follows the scent off the road and into the forest to find the body of a large wolf. Kami, Karen says. Naruto moves closer and sees numerous slashes to the wolf, but a bit distance away is a large dead boar. Looks like they were fighting and killed each other. Naruto says but hears whimpering. Find the source being a wolf cub with black fur and blue eyes. The pup growls at Naruto, but the monarch slowly moves his hand close for the pup to sniff and acclimate to him. It slowly sniffs his fingers and after a few minutes begins licking him as Naruto picks him or her up. Their mom is dead but took the boar with her, he says. Seeing the pup is a girl. Karen approaches and lets the pup sniff her with it being more at ease with her. Can I keep her, she says. Sure, mom is mine though. Arise, Naruto says, bringing the wolf and boar back. She'll need a name, Mei says, letting the pup sniff her. How about blue for her eyes, Naruto says, dismissing the wolf and boar as Karen buries the mom with a Daten Jutsu. The 3+1 head back for the road and continue towards their destination of the mining town of Katabami. They deal with some bandits and pass a few towns, getting Blue looked at by a vet and gain more information. A few days later, they arrive at a curry shop that doubles as an inn called Curry of Life.
Curry of Life, Karen says, Blue in her arms and now sporting a white collar. She is wearing a long-sleeve white shirt with a red tie having black cuffs on her wrists and a waist cincher, black cargo shorts with red tights and black ankle boots.
We should it. They have info on the mine, Mei says. She is wearing Naruto's lightning storm hoodie over a sleeveless black crop top with a buckled choker at the collar, and black Jean shorts with dark blue straps around her upper thighs, and black lace-up boots. Loose mimetic leg warmers with high-waist black tights. I've never had curry, Naruto says. He is wearing a graphic long-sleeve shirt in a dark purple color with sleeves have bionic designs on it. A pair of hybrid ninja cargo pants with adjustable straps having tight ankles and steel-toe harness boots. He also has on a long black button-up jacket with the upper body featuring a hood having a beaked tip, blue lining along the torso with the lower half of the coat forming two tails. The four enter the shop and not many are inside, but are met by a little old woman named Sancho. We'd like a room and some of your curry, Mei says, as Sancho leads them to a low table. Sure. I'll whip up my world-famous curry, Sancho says, going to grab a ledger for them to sign. Naruto looks around and removes his hood to observe, but only a few older men are drinking in the corner. A young man that introduces himself as Karashi has them sign the ledger and bring water.
Karashi, what do you know about Katabami Mine? Naruto asks. Karashi begins a small rant about the magistrate imposing high taxes on the workers, but soon a hero came to overthrow the magistrate.
What's hero's name? Mei says, her curiosity piqued. Raiga Korozuki, Karashi says, proudly. You'll have to take us to meet him, Mei says, sweetly, and Karashi nods with dumb smile on his face. What a minx, Naruto says under his breath, but loud enough for Mei to hear. What's that, love? Mei says, turning her gaze towards him, and feigning ignorance. I said what a minx, Naruto says, a slight grin on his face and acknowledging Mei's playful demeanor.
Well, I'm your minx, Mei says with a teasing smile, her eyes locked on Naruto's and escalating their flirtatious banter.
So, Raiga is in Katabami, Karen whispers, attempting to steer the conversation back to the task at hand. Seems so. Mei and I will head Katabami, while you stay here. Now consents all the way there, Naruto says, articulating the plan. I can try, Karen says and closes her eyes to focus, letting her perception spread from the shop outwards. A few minutes pass and Karen opens her eyes. There are at least 20 Chunin and above people there. I can almost feel despair coming from there as well, she says, as Blue paws at her tie. I see, Naruto says and cups his chin in thought. I'll keep Zabuza to your shadow and Blue's mom to her shadow, he adds. And the redhead nods. Here you go, my world famous curry, Sancho declares, rolling a cart with 3 plates. Karen sees the older men waving their arms and heads frantically as Sancho places 3 plates of nearly black curry. The 2 Uzumaki and Terumi stare at the concoction before them, but the hidden blonde makes the first move, grabbing a spoonful of curry to slip it into his mouth. The pair watch in horror and fascination as his face undergoes a rapid transformation, changing colors from red to green to pink to blue to white. He trembles violently, sweat pouring down his face before falling back with a dramatic clatter of the spoon hitting the floor. Naruto, both say. Naruto snaps awake with a look on his face, but tears well up in his eyes. Oh my Kami! I almost died. I almost died. I almost died! He cries and May pulls him into a hug. La Carcane. La Carcane, he mutters, confusing both. He quickly snaps back and glares at the curry on the table. I've eaten food out of the garbage before, but that is evil, Naruto says, getting to his feet, pulling out some money. Order something better. Don't eat that, Blue, Naruto says, stopping the pup and giving Karen money. May grabs Karashi, and the 3 head for the mine as Karashi extols about Raiga. What do you really know about Raiga? She asks. He's a hero, Karashi says, his voice filled with an unwavering belief. They soon reach the outskirts of the mine with a waterfall feeding into a makeshift river, several buildings, and what appears to be the magistrate's place under construction. You can head back, Karashi May says, a serious tone to her voice. I wish to see Raiga, Karashi says, but Naruto chops the back of his neck. A clone pops to life and takes Karashi back to the shop as Naruto brings out his mask. How do you wish to do this, Naruto says. Flood the area with your mist and lure him out, May says, and Naruto makes about 5 clones that uses stealth to begin flooding the area. Looks like his habit is on display, Naruto says, attaching a Miuri to May and pointing to the graves. At the same time, in front of the magistrate place, Raiga Kurasuki sits on the steps before a frightened man. To his right is a mountain of a man standing nearly 7'2", with a muscular physique with long pants and a sweater. So, Ryunosuke, Raiga begins, still wearing his former Ambu-like attire and the Kiba blades at his sides. It seems his friends managed to reach a ninja village, one of his minions says, wearing the hooded mantles of the group. Then in that case, let's have your funeral, Ryunosuke. I'll give a grand speech and cry deeply for you. More than even your family, Raiga says. Boss! A member of the Kurasuki suddenly shouts, running up to them with urgency clearly etched on his face. What's going on? Raiga says with a calm demeanor, masking the intrigue that sparked within him at the unexpected interruption. We're under attack. Some people showed up in a thick mist. The minion stutters out, trying to catch his breath. Raiga rubs his chin with a smile on his face, but looks to his mountain. Taiga. Take care of our pest problem, he says. Fine, Taiga said curtly, his voice carrying a note of eagerness for the task. With a nod toward the remaining minions, follows the one who brought the news and ready to confront whatever challenge awaits them. Back with May and Naruto, they were making short work of Raiga's minions, as the hidden blonde raises them to be new soldiers. A heavy gust of wind erupts through the area to lighten the mist, and May appears next to Naruto while Taiga reveals himself with 6 others. You are a very good-looking woman, Taiga says with his blue eyes on May, but his gaze drifts to Naruto. However, you seem more intriguing, he adds. I would be inclined to agree. Can you handle them and go for Raiga, Naruto says. May runs her fingers over blue lips to wipe some excess lava away. Of course. Have fun, she says. Bring out more senbon. Taiga removes his sweater to reveal his muscular body while Naruto slips off his coat to drop it. creating a small standoff between both sides, but Mei breaks it by charging Raiga's minions. Taiga takes this as an invitation to shoot with a drilling left straight, the air whooshing in the wake of the punch's force and forcing Naruto to avoid it. He's big and fast, Naruto thought, barely keeping his balance. Taiga is on him with 7 heavy punches, but Naruto manages to force a leaping right to his temple, dropping Taiga to one knee, but he simply smiles. Beautiful, Taiga says, quickly coming in a low tackle. Naruto connects with a rising uppercut as Taiga reaches him, but he pushes through to grab him, but Naruto notices these markings overtaking Taiga's body. So, Taiga roars, tossing Naruto nearly 20 feet, but he manages to catch himself as his mask falls from his face. Taiga methodically approaches as his body goes through a radical transformation. His skin is beginning to darken, and his sclera bleeds black. His arms gain vambrace like plating on his forearms as well. Taiga propels himself with a missile into furious rush of punches, but the hidden blonde manages to get his arms up to block. Naruto uses Kawarimi with a body and brings out the scorching gauntlets. Round 2, he says. Ha ha ha. Yeah, Taiga says. Both rush each other into a flurry of punches with neither block. They're snapping from the thunderous blows, with blood flying from Naruto's face from each of Taiga's punches connecting. A right hook connects with Naruto's face, but uses the trajectory of the punch to spin and gain velocity. Burst knuckle, he shouts, connecting with right that sends Taiga skidding back. Taiga falls to one knee, but the smile on his face never falters while blood runs down Naruto's face, and both shoot forward. Naruto ducks under Taiga's left hook, and the hidden blonde clenches his left. Fute no Kawami, he shouts. Naruto caves in Taiga's chest and drives him into the ground as 2 blows, appearing like one, fractures as Taiga crashes with a spiderweb crack. Special technique of the scorching gauntlets. Fute no Kawami, Makoto says, her voice steady but carrying an underlying excitement. Yeah, 2 punches that act as one. Arise, Naruto says, turning the gauntlets back into bracelets. Taiga rises as Makoto goes to retrieve Naruto's mask and coat, but the mountain of a man is even taller with a single horn on his forehead. I am yours to command, Taiga says. Naruto pulls a stasis scroll from inventory to seal Taiga's original body for a proper burial as Makoto comes with his things. Now we go kill Raiga, Naruto says. Genentan. Reiso. Ikazuchi no utage, Raiga shouts, driving his swords into the ground. Mei narrowly avoids the bolts of lightning running along the ground, and tosses several senbon. She has been doing well against Raiga, but the Kiba blades keep her from getting close to deal the death blow, though a few of her senbon have found the mark. Is she dead? Raiga sneers, firing off a few lightning balls. Thanks to you, Mei says, weave a few signs and spewing some lava globs. Raiga avoids them but knows if one gets him, it'll be his glorious funeral. But that will not happen in his mind. Ha ha ha. A shame the youngest member of the 7 swordsmen of the mist died in some bed, Raiga says and brings his swords together. I'm done playing. Time for your glorious funeral, he shouts. Rumbles of thunder echo as Raiga calls down lightning, as Mei prepares to avoid it while he spins in place. Rari no Tatsumaki, he shouts. Mei sees the snarling dragon with red eyes coming, but suddenly Taiga lands with a large dust up to block it by a heavy punch. What is that? Raiga says before being shot in the back. He crashes to the ground as Naruto appears from stealth with his rifle in hand. Your former subordinate, Taiga. I also have another surprise, Naruto says, removing his mask and hood. He touches his hair and channels some chakra as his raven locks become golden locks after touching his head.
You, Raiga says, pain lacing his voice as he struggles futilely to move but finds his legs unresponsive. Naruto sends his rifle away and walks to pick up the Kiba blade. Yes, me. We made a promise to Amayuri and we keeping it, he says, as Amayuri rises from Mei's shadow.
The kiddies have done right by me, and now they'll deport your sorry ass to hell, Amayuri says, her voice a blend of amusement and threat, but revealing her unforgiving nature, and the scars of her past that shaped her into the formidable kunoichi she is today. Mei, with a calmness that belies the storm brewing within as she weaves signs to Tiger, Yotun. Rakusia, she says before spewing a large projectile of acid. Raiga's screams of agony cut through the atmosphere, a harsh reminder of the brutality that comes with their world. He melts down into a puddle of sludge, his end as tragic as his life while being a victim to the very violence he perpetuated. Sorry, love. Now you can't bring him back, Mei says, but the blonde shakes his head, reapplying his black dye. Don't need a cheap knockoff, Naruto says, dismissing Taiga and Amayuri. The pair head back to Sancho's shop, but encounter a Konoha Genin team, led by Might Gay. Who are you? One says, and Naruto recognizes him as Hinata's cousin Neji, his question slicing through the air with a gaze as piercing as his Byakugan. You can call me Phantom, Naruto says, recognizing a second member named Rock Lee, but the third he doesn't recognize her. Phantom, we were hired by a villager to deal with Raiga, Kurozuki Lee says, optimism undying in his voice. Sorry you came so far, but Phantom and I have dealt with him, Mei says, her tone even but strong. And who are you? Neji says, his focus shifting to Mei. Call me Ringo, Mei says, a slight tilt of her head.
You took our mission, Xiao Mao, and the third of Team Guy says, her voice tinged with both accusation and disbelief. Naruto pins his hidden eyes on her with curious tilts of his head. What can we say? We got here first, he says, hiding the underlying tension with a facade of nonchalance.
Yes, we killed Raiga. Not some genin who probably aren't wet, Mei says, her tone dripping with a mocking edge and sparking a visible fury in the lone kunoichi of Team Gay. Shamao's fists clench at her sides with her body language screaming intentions of attack, but Lee steps in front of her, and his own stance a barrier of calm. Xiaomao. No, he says, a gentle reminder of their teachings, and the discipline they must adhere to even in moments of provocation. What is going on, my youthful team? Guy shouts, coming out from the shop with coincidentally Karen in blue. The sudden interruption momentarily diffuses the tension, redirecting their focus to their sensei, as his presence demands respect and adherence to the code of conduct they've been trained to follow. These two have proclaimed they have killed Raiga, Kurosuke Neji says, his brow furrowing as he recounts the event. Guy looks over the pair but for once remembers Naruto's mask from the bingo book. You're Phantom. Kirigakure placed you in the bingo book, he says, recognition mixing with a hint of respect in his tone. It's rare for someone so young to make such an impression that they're noted in the notorious Book of Shinobi. And you might gay. Konoha's noble green beast, Naruto says, and both shake hands. As I was telling your team, we took care of Raiga, but if you head to the mine near the magistrate's office, you'll find what is left of him, he adds, detailing their encounter and its aftermath. We'll need to confirm it, Gay says, shifting into action. We'll talk the owner and be on our way, Naruto says, heading inside. We should bring them back to Konoha for questioning, Shamao says, her analytical mind thinking ahead to the potential intelligence they could gather. I agree with Shamao. The information they possess could be crucial for our future operations, Neji comments, nodding with Shamao's sentiment.
If a fight were to happen, it would not be easy. Phantom is credited with killing the Sanbi Jinchuriki Yagura Karataki during Mist's civil war, Guy explains, his voice carrying a gravity that underlines the severity of their situation. The mention of Phantom's reputation causes a momentary silence amongst the group, understanding the potential threat could be far greater than they had initially thought. Team Guy depart for the mine as Naruto's group leaves after listening to Karashi curse them for killing their hero Raiga.
Good thing I was wearing my mask and dyed hair. Otherwise Konoha would be hounding me, Naruto says, a hint of relief in his voice at having maintained his anonymity during the confrontation. At least your infamy will spread. That will keep our enemies guessing, Mei comments, trying to find a silver lining in their precarious situation. That Konoha team was weird, Karen adds, and Blue barks her agreement, sensing the unease amongst her companions. Speaking. Summon. Bijou. Shadow Soldier. Yi pause. Long pause. Yenghanan. Disclaimer. I own nothing. Chappie 3. Land of Fire. The death of Fire Daimyo Hideyoshi Oda was a shock to many in Fire Country, but also other countries, as well as the man was fair to both friend and foe. However, now with his death, the country falls into a succession war between his two sons, Nobutatsu the oldest and Ieyasu the youngest. Nobutatsu is a man filled with greed and ambition, while Ieyasu is fair, honorable, and heroic. The hidden village of Konoha found itself in the middle of the brothers, but both princes decided to not fight with their country's hidden village due oaths taken by Konoha. Instead, the brothers fought with samurai in Onimusha, but Nobutatsu had the clandestine involvement of the darker elements of Konoha in the form of Danzo Shimura. Ieyasu had rallied many in the court to his side, but Nobutatsu had many on his side as well. The daimyo's court is filled with deceivers and liars, people who spoke in honeyed words and have the blackest of hearts. But Ieyasu could weed out these serpents. Fire Country as a whole was wholly affected by the succession war with Konoha, continuing to take missions, but many could feel the unease under the surface. The brothers did not live the capital of Edo, but instead in their domains of Akimitsuari, for Nobutatsu and Owari, for Ieyasu. The latter to the east of Fire Country with ample farms, mines, fishing, and shipping to create a bastion of stability. The battles between brothers makes the country begin to take sides, but it is the brothers' action that were making the difference. Nobutatsu cared not for the common people or warriors. Under his advisors' commands, towns used by his forces were filled with unscrupulous actions by bandits or missing nin to create refugees fleeing to various other places. On the other side, Ieyasu aids everyone and builds places for refugees that arrive in territories under his control. He has his men and women deal with banditry and missing nin as best they can, even getting some to join his side. Other nations were watching this succession battle between brothers with keen interest, but soon a powerful ally would join Ieyasu Oda. Uenenhan. The sounds of swords clanging echo in the courtyard of the castle of Prince Ieyasu Oda within Owari lands. The mid-20s prince has done everything to improve Owari from when he took over some years ago. Improved farming techniques, improved healthcare facilities, a small and bubbling industrial sector that has propelled the region of Owari into an economic hub. His other ventures like the soup kitchens, his cracking down on banditry and corruption have won him the love of the people of his lands, but his other territories as well. Your skill with the sword rivals my general's, Ieyasu says, sword in hand. He stands nearly 6 feet with a slight muscular body from training, sharp dark eyes, and a short black-haired mane. He wears no shirt with dark hakama pants and calf-high boot, having segmented shin guards. Thank you, Princess Ieyasu, says 110 Higurashi. Or simply 10 now. The 18-year-old has come a long way since her heated argument with her father concerning Naruto and his disappearance. She believed her father was on Naruto's side, but it was a facade and caused her leave. Her leaving Konoha had been the right choice, as now she is a student of one of the legendary Sannin, and her idol Tsunade Senju. Their meeting was one of chance, but the mention of Naruto brought them together. Ieyasu sheathes his sword with a sign of trust and respect in their culture. It's not just your skill, Tenten, but your determination. You remind me that each one of us has a role in forging our village's destiny, he says, wiping his brow. It's been a tough journey, Prince Ieyasu, but seeing how you lead, how you never waver, it inspires me, Tenten, says, balancing her stance. Ieyasu nods with an understanding the unspoken hardships she refers to. This village, our people, we have survived through much. It's the bonds we share, the resolve to protect each other, that has always seen us through, and now more than ever. We need that unity, he says. A moment of silence passes between them. How is Lady Momo doing? Tenten asks, her signature panda buns covered by white silk brocades. She also wears a white sleeveless, high-collar kipao dress with red trimmings and a pink flame pattern on the left, tied with a maroon obi. Underneath, she has white-black leggings, black high-heel boots, and arm-length black fingerless gloves. She is well. Lady Tsunade and Lady Shizune are taking good care of her. I cannot believe I'll be a father, Ieyasu says, his voice a mixture of pride and incredulity. He knows his brother will sooner or later find out about his wife's pregnancy, meaning he needs to win this succession war. It wasn't fought on a grand scale with ninja. Instead, this war is being fought with soldiers having pikes, swords, or bows led by samurai. Unlike the samurai of Iron Country, these samurai were less in number but stronger. They used their chakra to create aura blades and use various swords arts that were like jutsu. Meaning you need to win this war, a voice says, and both sees Tsunade standing on the landing. The blonde is a beauty, despite being nearly 50 with straight blonde hair that parts above her forehead. Her hair has shoulder-length bangs that frame her face, and the rest reaches her lower back. Her eyes are honey brown, and she has a purple rhombus on her forehead. She wears gray, kimono-style blouse with short sleeves and a broad, dark, bluish-gray obi that matches her pants. Her blouse is closed quite low, revealing her sizable cleavage, and wears open-toe, strapped black sandals. I plan to Lady Tsunade. How is Momo, Ieyasu says, bowing to Tenten to end their spar. She is doing well, but her morning sickness is something to keep an eye on, Tsunade says, before taking a sip from a jug of sake hanging from a strap. I will go check on her, Ieyasu says, and both bow to him. The kid has what it takes to be Daimyo, Tsunade muses. Not if the first prince has anything to say about it, Tenten says, her brows furrowing in concern. Add Danzo Shimura as well. That one-eyed bastard is aiding him behind Sensei's back, Tsunade says, her tone dripping with disdain as she takes a seat while the weight of their situation seemingly pressing down on her. Though we have no evidence, Sensei, Tenten says, sitting next to her and her voice carrying a note of caution. Maybe Konoha is staying out this succession war, but are prepared to support the prince that gains the advantage and wins. Which puts us in a precarious position as Konoha. Ninja, Tsunade says but smirks, which is why Shizune and I are no longer Konoha ninja. It sucks to lose my travel rights as a Sannin, but I'm not going to sit idly by as people die, she adds, and Tenten smiles. But thoughts drift to a certain blonde. Do you wonder where he is, Tenten muses? Tsunade looks to the clouds in the sky. I do. But if Kushina did what she intended, he's building his army and making a name for himself. She muses with a hint of pride and hope in her voice. Renentan. Hidden Dream Village, Mei says, breaking the silence that hangs between them like a thick fog. Naruto, Mei, Karen, and Blue were making their way to the Hidden Dream Village for a job commissioned by ruler of the area concerning said village, Jito Akiku. Matsumoto is worried about the succession war going on, and the first prince deciding he needs to have the edge in battle, Naruto explains, sharing the details of their mission. What's a Jito? Karen asks, tinged with curiosity. It's a low, noble, and granted land to govern, paying a certain amount of money in taxes to the daimyo, Mei explains, her voice confident and steady. And with the daimyo dead and his sons going to war, things are precarious here in Fire Country, Naruto says, concern lacing his tone. Which we're walking into, Mei comments nonchalantly, her gaze fixed on the path ahead. It's been about 4 months since meeting Team Gay, and we're now in Fire Country doing freelance work, overhearing rumors about the princes and their actions. Seems Prince Ieyasu is pretty much like my mother said. But Prince Nabutatsu is the older, and has some skilled samurai despite Konoha not getting involved, Naruto says, a hint of admiration in his voice for the strategic prowess the prince seemed to possess. Mei glances to him with a thoughtful look. Your mother had insight into nobility, and their games. It's fascinating, and yet here we are, caught somewhat in the middle doing freelance work. It taking us to interesting places, she says.
Mom knew a lot about a lot according to her journal. Makes me wonder what else we'll find out here. With the princess fighting and Konoha staying neutral. It's a messy situation. Naruto says, his blue eyes reflecting a mix of emotions.
Neutral or not, our path crosses with these squabbles. We'll need to be more cautious now. In case Konoha Ninja happen to see you, Mei says, and Naruto nods, touching his black hair. A few days later, they were in Yumagakure, that has a collage of numerous nagaya or longhouses, each home sharing communal facilities. This quaint village was nestled in a flat valley, hugged tightly by embracing forests with a bridged river that dissected it neatly in half. So, Fire Country has 2 ninja villages, Karen says, her tone carrying a mix of surprise and intrigue as they meandered along the cobblestone paths that snaked through the village. Apparently, but Yumagakure is not considered an official ninja village, Naruto says, as they search out the village leader's home. Karen has a sense of curiosity burning within her as the idea of a village outside the traditional shinobi system intrigues her and wonders what unique customs or secrets Yumagakure holds within its heart. They soon find it, and it is the compound of the Tenro clan. This reminds me of the Inuzuka compound, Makoto says as Naruto sees wolves at the main gate, with bladed weapons on their backs. Halt! Who are you? One guard challenges, stepping forward with a firm stance. My name is Phantom or Menma, and I was hired by Jito Okiko Matsumoto to discuss certain matters, Naruto says, pulling a scroll with Okiko's sigil from his coat. The guard's eyes narrow and scrutinizes the scroll before signaling with a nod. Follow us, he commands, and turns on his heel as another guard falling into step beside him, leading them inside the compound. The atmosphere shifts palpably as those inside pause their activities to cast suspicious glances their way, the air thick with unspoken questions, and look upon the 3 with suspicion in their eyes, but the 3 plus wolf pup ignore them. Lord Enzo will meet you in a moment, the guard says, putting them in a meeting room. Naruto sits on a cushion before a slightly raised section about 10 feet from them, with Mei on his left and Karen on his right, Blue sitting in her lap with curious tilts of her head. A few minutes later, a large and bulky man with gray, spiky hair enter, followed by a young woman. His attire consists of a gray, sleeveless kimono shirt with a collar lining of dark blue fur, a hitayate in the shape of Hapuri face guard and the symbol of ZZ on it, a red scarf around his neck with round stone ornament attached, and brown pants, having leg warmers in matching fur. I am Enzo Tenro, and this is my daughter Ryuka, the man says, his voice steady and commanding. She has messy purple hair, amber eyes, and has red marking under each eye with a Hapuri face guard, but has 2 extensions upward. She wears a sleeveless pink kimono with a furry collar and a necklace consisting of rings attached together by red strings, ending with a tassel to the left. She wears fury wristbands on each wrist, followed by bandages that go up to her elbows. She also wears a short violet skirt and dark brown pants that have furry endings right below her knees, the rest being bandaged up. I am Menma Yusugi, and this Ringo. Rin and Blue, Naruto says, removing his mask to reveal purple contacts. You were sent by Jito Matsumoto, Enzo says, and Naruto nods, holding up the scroll. Ryuka moves towards them and takes the scroll from him before checking for traps. Here, father, she says, reaching him. Enzo opens the scroll and begins reading the contents that Jito Matsumoto has reason to believe Gensui Amaguri has aligned with Prince Nobutatsu in seeking the 3-headed guardian beast or Cerberus for himself to win the succession war. How can Jito Matsumoto believe this? Gensui is a trusted ally. His son is engaged to my daughter, Enzo says. I do not know. We were simply tasked with delivering the scroll, Naruto says. I agree with father, Elder Gensui. I would not do such a thing. Perhaps this some sort of trick, Ryuka says, but Enzo raises his hand. This is indeed Jito Matsumoto's sigil and signature, Enzo says, and having disbelief lacing his voice, but looks to Naruto. You will accompany my daughter and I to speak to Gensui. Those 2 will remain here, he adds. Naruto glances to Karen and Mei with his hidden eyes moving back to Enzo. If that is your wish, Naruto says. Tenro ninja come in to sequester Mei and Karen while Naruto follows Enzo with Ryuka. I do not trust you, she says, her voice steady, but yet ripe with an unspoken challenge. That is your decision, Naruto says, a hint of understanding in his tone. His response is measured and devoid of animosity, reveals a level of patience and wisdom not commonly found in one his age. I've heard of you, Phantom. You cut your teeth in Miss Civil War, Enzo says, but Naruto says nothing. The three leave the village proper and head of the Hill of Illusions, giving one a clear vantage point of the surrounding area and the forests of mythic beasts. The forest itself has a heavy mist and visibility is not very far. Reminds me of when I was training you, Brat Zabuza comments. Don't remind me. You made me stand in your hidden mist for hours to get used to fighting in it. If not for being the Shadow Monarch, I would have been completely blind, Naruto thought, seeing large insects around their perimeter as they travel through the forest. Why have you come, Lord Enzo? A voice says, slicing through the tension that filled the air like a sharp knife. Taisa, I'm here to see your father, Enzo says, his voice steady and unwavering. There is a silence, a pause in which the weight of his words seem to settle over them, before a young man appears from the shadows with his gaze wary yet curious. He has short brown hair and several pinkish-red markings on his face. He wears a samurai-like attire of the same color as his markings with some purple and white. He has 2 purple shoulder guards, loose, dark gray pants with some yellow on the left leg, tucked-in bandages wrapped around his lower legs, and wears the unique sandals his clan. What about Enzo? Gensui says, appearing next to his son with his voice as grounded and ancient as the earth itself. He is an elderly man with very long white hair, some of which is pointed up. The rest is straight and tied into 2 loose, thick ponytails behind his back, and has 2 strands framing his face with a small goatee. He wears a samurai-like attire that has spots reddish pink and purple with iron and gold plating. He wears brown pants tucked into bandages wrapped around his lower legs, and the unique sandals of the Amagari. It's like they knew we were coming, Makoto says, sensing the unease that started to creep into their midst. Jito Okiko Matsumoto has sent sensitive information, Enzo says, a clear sign of respect and urgency woven into his gaze. Taisa looks to his father and seeks counsel in his silence, while a storm brews behind the calm facade of the older man's exterior. I thought I would have more time, Gensui finally admits, his words heavy with a resignation that spoke volumes of the challenges they were about to face. More time, Enzo repeats, but his words are quickly swallowed by chuckling that seems to echo from all around them. They quickly find themselves encircled by a dozen or so soldiers. The group is led by a strikingly good-looking young man, clad in black and purple samurai armor. A pair of short swords rest in his hands, and his long white hair dances in the breeze, his purple eyes shining with an unsettling glee. Gensui, Enzo stammers, disbelief and confusion painting his features. Gensui merely grins with a bitter twist to his lips as he watches Enzo's dawning realization. Poor Enzo. You believed in Gensui when he despised you for the fall of his clan, the samurai says, amusement clear in his tone as Taisa moves next to Ryuka. In shock, Enzo's face falls as his expression is a mixture of betrayal and pain. He looks from the samurai to Gensui, seeking some sign of denial but finds none. Mitsuhide is correct. The Tenro persecuted and banished of the Amagari to this forest. While your clan ruled, however, that time is over. Once I unseal the 3 heads, Lord Nabutatsu will crush that arrogant upstart, Gensui says, and raises a half-ram sign. Ryuka freezes and her eyes dim as Gensui chuckles with a look to his son, Taisa. Take her to the 3 heads shrine, Gensui says. Yes, Father Taisa says, grabbing Ryuka from behind and vanishing. Gensui's treachery hangs heavily in the air as Anzui, overcome with disbelief, and struggles to find his voice. Gensui! You traitor, Enzo says, pointing his staff at the man he once believed to be an ally. Leave them to me and go unseal. Cerberus and my lord will pay you handsomely, Mitsuhide says, and Gensui vanishes, leaving Enzo and the others to face their grim fate. Phantom, I am in need of your help, Enzo says, desperation tinging his voice. No problem. Just don't anyone what you're about to see, Naruto says, as his shadow aura flares out. Enzo and Mitsuhide's men were shocked by Naruto's army, but Mitsuhide ignores this as the battlefield tense, with both sides eyeing the other warily. Mitsuhide shoots towards Naruto with a smile as the hidden blonde says arise, and his soldiers rise before he blocks Mitsuhide's attack with Zabamaru. Tenrori ninjutsu, Jeijinka no jutsu. Enzo shouts, transforming himself into a werewolf-like creature. You managed to block me, Mitsuhide, says his tone laced with a mix of surprise and respect. Naruto back jumps and swings Zabamaru with a whip strike, but Mitsuhide avoids it with his eyes sharp and movements even sharper, closing in with his sword crossed, and Naruto somersaults over his strike. He swaps out Zabamaru for Inari's fangs as Mitsuhide smirks. Those are beautiful weapons. I look forward to using them, Mitsuhide says, shooting forward, and Naruto does the same. Both meet in furious clash with sparks flying, but Naruto sees chakra humming along Mitsuhide's sword and uses Kawarimi with a log to avoid a slash of chakra. You avoided my aura blade, Mitsuhide says, a hint of intrigue in his voice.
Interesting technique, Naruto says, his Inari's wrath in reverse grips. Mitsuhide lowers his stance and blitzes forward using the reduced earth technique, but spins rapidly 3 times, attempting to slash Naruto 3 times, but the hidden blonde blocks all 3.
Fast, but not fast enough, Naruto quips, a slight smirk on his face. Mitsuhide's eyes narrow slightly, but is impressed despite himself. Your skills are commendable. It's not often I find someone who can keep up, he admits, reassessing Naruto with newfound interest. Mitsuhide tries to confuse Naruto by rapidly alternating between fast and slow movements, but Naruto uses the mist to his advantage by making it thicker. Have you ever killed someone by making no sound? Naruto says, his voice echoing eerily through the mist. Mitsuhide only scoffs and swiftly moving to counter Naruto's unpredictable tactics. I prefer to hear the screams of my victims, Mitsuhide retorts, blocking Naruto's strike from his right with a quick sidestep. Duly noted, Naruto says, landing a glancing blow to Mitsuhide's thigh and slicing through his armor as if it were made of paper. He cut through my armor, Mitsuhide thought in shock, feeling the sting of the wound. You're probably wondering how I cut through your armor, Naruto says, his voice coming from seemingly everywhere as the mist thickens around them. Mitsuhide swings blindly with a backhand strike, but hits nothing but air as Naruto chuckles. These daggers are special, the hidden blonde says. Mitsuhide stifles a cry of pain as Naruto slashes his outstretched left leg and vanishes back into the mist. Let's try something. I'll strike you in 10 seconds, Naruto says, from the mist. 10, 9, 8, Naruto says, and appears in front of Mitsuhide. Mitsuhide crosses his sword in a scissor-like motion to cut the hidden blonde's carotid arteries, but it turns out to be an illusion of Naruto. This trickery, it's child's play, Mitsuhide exclaims, attempting to hide the rising panic in his voice.